Welcome to D6 tutorial on Tabletopia. I'm just going to quickly go through how to get established and playing D6 on Tabletopia. When you first launch the game, you'll be presented with a board like this. This table, you can move it around. Well, actually, you're moving your camera around by left clicking and just moving the mouse. If you right click, you can pan it up and down, and then middle mouse zooms in and out. So the first thing I'll draw your attention to is your ships. Currently there's only the Halcyon, but I plan on doing more. With the ship, it's a tile, so you can click and drag it around. You can also flip it by right click, flip, or F key. So from here on out, I'll just be using F key when I flip things, but note that you can flip pretty much everything by right clicking and finding the flip icon. So we'll flip it. If you select an item and press space, you can get a zoomed in version. This is the back that I scanned in. The front is from the print and play, so that's why the graphics are a lot nicer than the back. So you want to click and drag your ship into the ship area, and once it's in place, you can right click and lock. You want to do that because you're going to be placing dice on the ship all around, and you don't want to be accidentally picking up the tile with stuff on it. It just makes it a pain. The next thing you want to do is establish your hull to full and your shields. So you just simply left click and drag. These are magnetized, so if you get it close to the middle, it will snap to place. Oops. The next thing you need to decide on is your infirmary, which side to do. You can flip it and get the upgraded infirmary or the default. I always like playing the upgraded infirmary, even with the upgrade cards. I know there's a rule about that, but rules are meant to be broken, especially in board games. After you've made those decisions, you'll probably want to look at your threat deck. This is the core threat deck, not the extended version, but just the normal core, but from the second print. So you'll have the two rescue cards. You can decide if you want to thin out the deck, make the game a bit easier, or shorter, I should say. You do that by first clicking on the deck. Well, you don't have to click on the deck, you just click the first card, and then you can just drop it in the discard. So you can do that however many times. Note, the first time you place down a card, if you want to make a stack, it takes a little bit of time for it to recognize that. But the subsequent cards, it's pretty fast. You just see that it's highlighting orange. There's 6 Don't Panic cards. You can add those into your threat deck to make it easier. And it's the same thing. So you just click, drag, click, drag. Once you're satisfied with that, you can decide if you want to add the Ouroboros boss. I don't have the boss. I personally own it, but I haven't added it into the game assets yet. In the directions, you can add Ouroboros to the threat deck, or you can wait for the end of the threat. I always like waiting because I love fighting bosses at the end. I don't really want it scattered about. So you make your decision, you can right click on the threat deck and then shuffle. Do it 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's all good and shuffled. And then you're ready to start. I always like tilting. So this is completely perpendicular view. I like to just have a little bit of tilt. Kind of looks more realistic. So there are 2 ways when you're grabbing a threat. You can just throw it anywhere other than here, and it'll be face down, and then you click and then press F to flip it, then place it on your threat track. Or if you want to be faster, you just throw it onto the 4 and automatically flips, and then put it in the right place. It's your decision where you want to, how you want to handle that. Next, we want to look at the crew dice and rolling all of them at the same time. So in order to select all of your crew dice so that you can roll them, you left shift, or just shift, left click and drag, and you'll get a blue box. So just make sure the blue box is covering your dice, and you'll see that all the dice are highlighted. Then you can either right click and use the roll, sorry, it's at the bottom, or you can simply press the R hotkey. And if you see, I just left clicked off of the dice. If you don't left click off the dice and you just grab them, you'll grab all of them. And when you're starting to assign dice, you'll want to grab one by one. This threat is also magnetized. So if you get it close to the middle, it'll snap. The ship itself is not magnetized, so you can place them anywhere. It doesn't have to be on there. So let's just say we did that. I know there's no reason for that. If you need to specify a specific dice face, you right click on the dice, and then it's 1 through 6. So you can sort of just trial and error. I think maybe that's 4. Nope. 6. So that's 6. So you can always change your dice face, especially if you're using the commander. Say you wanted to change this to a tactical officer, you change it to 2. When you're done with your dice and you're ready to put them in the return spot, you can just simply click and drag them into returned, or you can throw them in unassigned crew. It's up to you. The backside, the one with the upgraded infirmary, does not have magnetism, so it doesn't snap. However, if you unlock it, flip it, lock it back, the front side does have magnetism. So if we throw all of our dice, and the cool thing is you can throw them like there. You can throw them in the infirmary as well. It also snaps. So it organizes them really nice and neatly so that you can click, drag, throw them in the unassigned crew. I haven't figured out how to apply magnetism on the front and the back. It's something I can look into as an update. Or maybe just have 2 separate cards on the side and you can choose which one instead of flipping them. That's a possibility. Before I forget, this is your threat die, and it can be rolled the same way, either right click and roll, or just click, left click and R hotkey. So that's your threat die. The last thing to discuss is really the ship upgrades. So these are all from the extended edition. You can choose to play with them or not. I always prefer playing with ship upgrades because I always feel like it allows me to use all of my crew dice more effectively. Without playing with ship upgrades, sometimes I just don't use dice and it feels a bit bad. But usually you can use them dealing with threats or upgrading. Use a cube just like your health and shield. The snap. So you have to place it sort of over the middle for it to snap properly. But they do snap. These are just normal cards, so you can left click and then press F to flip it to show that you've upgraded it. You can upgrade them all. Cool. So that's about it. When you want to do the Ouroboros, you left click and then left click the whole deck, or you can just take it off the top and start populating them. It's up to you. You can also deal all of them too, which is kind of neat. That was a right click when you have a stack of cards. So I'll do that again. So say you have no threats, you right click and then take 6 and it lays them out like this. So that way you can easily just throw them where they need to be. Cool. That is all for the Ouroboros, and that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoy Deep Space D6 as much as I do, and hopefully you can get some games in on Tabletopia.